What's alive?
The ant! Our ant!
Do you realize what you've done?
Ladies first, ant bait.
Hey, we're being attacked by an ant. No, not my ant, a big giant ant. Oh shit, I'm gonna need a bigger can.
That's not a knife.
So for our next project, we have to take one of these and make it into one of these. Also, it has to be 3D, and it's almost 8 feet long. I have no idea how we're gonna do that.
So we built and installed this sign for Falcon Pest Control here in Orlando. And there's one massive part of this that is missing, which is an 8-foot-long giant fire ant that is kind of the crowning jewel of this entire project. The only reason we haven't really started on it yet is we're not exactly sure what the hell we're gonna do. We're kind of figuring that out. So I think what we're gonna do is kind of piece everything together. And between myself and Rob and Renee, I think we're just gonna wing it.
The only insect that we've ever built is an insect for Truly Nolan, which is on their pylon sign. But it would, the body of that and that ant was turned on the lathe. So it was completely symmetrical.
So like those legs need to tie into a frame, and that frame has to go head to tail. And then that's got to get welded inside there to whatever frame we do. I have to figure out the best way to build this ant, but I also have to think about that when I'm done, Renee has to carve it, he has to be able to carve it, he has to be able to paint it, and make it look real. So I want to get his opinion now so that I don't end up, you know, screwing him because of something that I did that makes his job more difficult. Do we want to make this whole thing big and you're stock removing down the entire thing?
That's what I was thinking.
If we cut that shape out, not the legs, but the head and the body, so that you know how tall the thing is, to give you one dimension to work to, and then our frame can all be welded off of that.
Yeah, we're gonna stack your layers.
Right,
yeah,
it would be a piece of metal running straight down the middle.
You got an aluminum spine right up the middle of it.
And then your HDU stacked off that spine, but that also gives us something continuous running all the way through it that we can base everything off of.
So you would sand right up to that piece of aluminum, that's right.
It'll give me a guide.
Right, but it'll give you like a visual, don't go past this part.
Teamwork makes the dream work. I love that Steve and Rob brought me in together to brainstorm with this, so I can be involved from the beginning all the way to the end until it's done. Yeah, this is not like airbrushing a motorcycle tank. This is more, there's more to it than that.
All right, so we've come up with a plan. We took their fire ant, which is used in their logo and advertising all over the place. We kind of took an ant that was a mostly straight on view, and what I did was actually created sort of a outline, just the silhouette of it, so that way this can be cut on the router table. Well, then you come to the fact that this thing is going to be three-dimensional. Well, nothing in nature is actually symmetrical, so what I had to do was actually go through each individual body segment and break it apart, find which one was going to work for our dimensions, and that way I could actually create a three-dimensional ant top and side view that are fully symmetrical that we could work off of. So Rob will weld the legs and the stabilizers and all of those things directly to that spine so that everything will have some structure and be able to hold up. Now, I've already supplied Robert with a top view and a side view, and we've got our pieces router cut. Now at this point, it really comes down to Robert and Renee, and they literally just kind of have to wing it. We never do this. Normally we have everything planned out. I know they're gonna make it work.
So this is the center of what the ant is going to be. So like that's the whole silhouette of the artwork. Because now I can see everything that isn't metal is leg in some fashion. Part of the problem is some of this didn't separate, you know, I wasn't able to go through and completely cut out all these lines. So like looking at this part of this leg is actually this part of the leg, not the piece that's coming up. The stencil was just an outline of the outside of the amp. So I had to figure out in that shape where was the right leg, where was the left leg, you know, how long that part was. The legs of an ant aren't, you know, simple like a human leg where it just goes, you know, from the body down to the ground. The ant has 4 different angles and 4 different sections as it comes down from the body, bends up, and then bends out and goes down to the ground. Once I figure out, you know, all the different parts and what's what, then I can start to build it. We are what is being referred to as the ant command center because I got ants all over the place. Basically, this is the stiffener. This is going to get welded on both sides. That stiffens the body because of these thin spots. It needs something to keep it from bending or, you know, getting jacked up by the wind. Now I'm going to stand this thing up where it needs to be, and then I'm going to build everything off of it. Yeah, Falcon has never done one of these, so this is the first 8-foot long amp.
So what'd you figure out?
That I'm just gonna wing everything. I'm like spending all sorts of time taking measurements, and I think I'm just gonna go with it. I always tell them that I can build anything, just give me a picture, but I don't have any specific job experience or training in ants. I don't think there's a class you can take for that anywhere, training, nothing. That's gonna end up too wide. But I'll change this one. I just want them to end up where they're close to where they're supposed to end up. This one, I gotta make sure that I get wide enough. This one's really close. Well, I'm too long on that. 8 inches? After a certain point, I'm just gonna use round tube. I might just do one more on everything. So I'm just gonna use round, kind of flatten off the feet, and then I'll weld it, plug weld it up inside. Got the legs completely finished. Got the frame made to attach it to the top of the sign. So today I'm starting to wrap all the legs and the body with the HDU.
Okay, so we have a couple of choices when it comes to doing carving and three-dimensional foam work. So we have EPS foam, which is that typical white styrofoam that you guys are probably familiar with. It's very lightweight, it's very easy to carve, but it's not stable. So we have to hard coat it with like a fiberglass resin before we have to paint it. The other option is this product called HDU, or high density urethane. This stuff, if you get it in a cubic square, it weighs 15 pounds. So this is 15 pounds HDU. It's dimensionally stable. It could set outside right now and stay there for 50 years. It doesn't need any coating, any hard coat on it at all, or paint. It'll just last. So we chose this to carve the ant out of because once you carve it, it's ready to go. You just have to paint it. So it's a little bit harder to carve, a little bit more expensive than regular white foam, but man, the product is just so much stronger and a better choice for what we're wanting to do with this ant. So high density urethane.
I'm done. As far as the construction of it, it's completely done.
You think it came out better or worse than you thought?
It came out how I wanted it to come out. I don't know if that makes sense. It's what I was shooting for. We don't need this thing in a museum, but if we can scare some children.
Now that our newly crowned ant fabricator, Robert, has got the structural part of the ant finished up, now it's over to Renee. Make sure you guys join us next episode to see Renee carve that thing, paint it, bring it to life so we can get it installed up on that sign. Kind of is like an ant control center around here, isn't it?